of being chair. First, we're going to begin with a roll call. Mr. Kunkel.
Here.
Ms. Podorf. Mr. Skian.
Present.
Mr. Schurmeyer.
Here.
Ms. McLean Gross. Mr. Buffington.
Here.
Mr. Gifford.
Here.
Ms. Hitzel.
Here.
Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comment or question on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Motion is approved unanimously. I don't believe we have any unfinished business tonight. No one here representing previous cases that weren't heard for absences. And tonight we have one case under new business, which is 213 South Pine Street, the removal of current 16 metal windows and installing 16 new replacement windows. New windows will be white, energy efficient, start-rated vinyl replacement windows with a half screen. The whole home is getting new windows, dining, kitchen, computer room, back bedroom, 7 double-hung windows, 28.5 inches wide by 65 3/4 inches high. Aspen Home Improvements will not alter any of the current openings, and they're installing energy-efficient windows to help with energy costs. Is someone here to represent that property? Okay. Floor is yours.
Good evening, council members. We're doing work for Mr. Butcher here. We're going to replace all the windows. That's why I'm here this evening. You pretty much described exactly what we're doing. We're not altering any of the openings. We're replacing more or less like for like. The product that we're using is going to match. Go ahead, sir.
Can you explain more or less, like for like?
Yeah, so we're not enlarging or making the openings any smaller. So what we're taking out is what we're putting back in.
Okay, so you weren't describing divided lights in the windows themselves?
Correct. So currently there are windows on the back of the house that have what we call a simulated divided light.
Yep.
We are going to replace that with simulated divided lights in the same configuration.
And did you say the current windows are metal? Was that what it said?
I believe the windows themselves are painted shut wood, I would say.
Okay.
And then they have a storm metal
Okay.
window on the exterior.
That's what, that was gonna be one of my questions. Are they storm windows, metal storm windows over original wood windows?
Yeah, that's typically what we see with
Okay.
these type of applications. That would be correct on this particular one.
I would assume the rear windows are replacements now if they have simulated divided lights. I'm trying to find a picture of the rear.
They are actually the original windows. Well, as original as far as I know.
The original would have been true divided lights, not the simulated. So if that's why I was wondering if they were some kind of replacement.
I'm sorry, you're right. You're
Okay,
correct.
okay.
True divided lights, single pane.
Okay.
The best way to replace that with an energy efficient product is using a simulated divider light.
Okay.
And these photographs from inside the house looking out appear to represent windows that may not have been original, the ones looking out onto Pine Street. Could you comment on that?
Yeah, there's no alley.
Could you
drive
tell
down
us
the alley.
where you're referring to, sir?
It's page 1 of 1 on
I can see
the
the front.
photographs, and that's the only identification, because they all say 1 of 1. So
Okay.
when there's an exterior picture, and then the next picture is an interior with 3 windows. One has an arch,
End of the
which is
rows.
blacked out. That's what makes me suspect, plus the profile
It's this one right here.
makes me suspect they're not original.
End of the row is still nice.
The bottom sashes are the original
yeah,
windows, and the ones on the left and the right, I'm
obliterated.
not sure what happened to the top half
in a row there.
of the middle window. So, that is how it was when I purchased them.
Okay. Yeah, it's a tricky one because we usually will approve vinyl replacement windows on the rear of houses. We typically don't on the front. We will approve a composite replacement window. Like for example, your Anderson, I guess it's the 100 series, that kind of thing, that's a Fibrex window, or, Marvin, different ones have a fiberglass product. We'll approve those on the front, like in 1/1, because they look and age a little better. The issue here with this house, unfortunately, three houses on this part of the row have been, all the details have been completely covered up, and the brick's been covered with vinyl siding, and, a lot of the detail of the houses have been compromised, though it probably is still underneath that siding. It looked like they were probably originally on the first floor, if it's like the houses at the end, they were probably Roman or segmental arched windows and doors.
It appears to me that there was some modifications done in the
Transoms,
past.
Yeah, the three on the end still retain that, that's been just over here on these houses. I'm sure it's below all that siding, but, so those windows, as a matter of fact, looking at the windows, they were probably like the house on the, are pretty similar to the house at the other end of the row. I don't know if everybody can see that, as to what it probably looked like
Yeah, I
at
mean,
one time.
The rounded window on the Oriole
Yeah.
is covered over by that fascia.
The rounded transom on the door is covered over,
Yeah, so-
and it probably was, that triple window was probably a segmented arch double or triple window like that, and then it was, all the ones in between were single windows with Roman arches, round arches.
We can't make them go back
No.
because it's been done.
So the question for us would be, do we approve vinyl in this case? Do we recommend that you go with a Fibrex? But the problem is that none of this it's all really severely compromised. So I don't know. I'll throw that question to the board. I don't know.
If that is the question, we'd be setting precedent in that we've not approved vinyl on the street face. We have approved alternatives.
Sure.
Wood that's metal clad, wood, something like a Fibrex material, which can represent the profile of an original window. It's what makes a house from the street look historic is if you don't dramatically change those profiles. And similarly, if you had had windows with multiple panes, we would have wanted to see that multiple pane remain. Would you be able to consider something other than vinyl for the street face? Is the question. We are a recommending body. We do not deny or approve, and then you get a permit, it has to go to council. But it would be precedent-setting for us to approve vinyl on the street face in a house like this, in a district neighborhood where so many people have invested so much to retain the original character of the homes. I know that on Pine Street, there are quite a number of well-restored houses.
I understand that, council members. I actually went to his block, and there I found 8 different homes that had vinyl replacement windows on the face.
Done, either done, not a permit, or before it was a part of the historic district.
The one thing that the homeowner had shared with me also when he purchased the home recently, in his seller's disclosure, it was marked a non-historic area, and I can provide that document for you.
Well,
So that's,
then you have a case against the realtor, because it's common knowledge that it's well within the district. And
Yeah,
that's easy for them to determine, because you can see that the map that's in your application is available at City Hall, easily obtained
You can set a
online.
precedent by taking your realtor to court.
sure. I mean, no.
Maybe have them
I
pay
mean,
for your
nobody
new
really
windows.
wants to go that route, right?
I guess the question is, would you consider a alternative type of window for the front? And one that's a composite material, which in a lot of cases isn't gonna break the bank, but it's, and it would probably look better. I mean, I don't know what your long-term plans are for the house, if you have any, because there's a lot of neat features. If you look at the other end of the row, which was probably the mirror of, this is the mirror of that one, that's pretty close to what this house looked like.
One comment I actually just want to make here, it seems like on the, I guess what is the house right adjacent to that small little alley, which is the one we're speaking about, it looks like there's, at least in the top portion of the windows at the bay window, there are some original, I guess what you would, some muttons.
Grids, maybe?
Wood muttons, I guess.
Yeah, the
still
grids.
preserved in some form, yeah.
Yeah, the house, Blake, at the other end of the row,
Has those
if you look, it
exact
has that,
patterns,
yeah,
yeah.
on the Oriole, yeah.
Is that something that would need to be maintained, we think?
It should be,
Yeah.
yeah, because it is there. It doesn't, it looks like the center window, it's gone.
Yeah,
But
it's
the
tough to see.
flanking windows, it's still there, or part of it is.
Yeah, it's almost like it's been split in half.
Well, and it kind of looks like the vertical mullions are there, but not all of the horizontals. It looks like things got broken out over the years and they just reglazed it with,
Yeah.
So again, that's tricky because I can't tell, at least from looking at this picture, it doesn't look like it's all, and when I zoom in, well, some of it's there, but they've been altered.
Yeah.
Across the top, they're there, but in the center has been altered. So, it looks like the one on the left has been altered differently than the one on the right. So, it's not, it's really, the fabric isn't kind of there anymore.
The homes on the end.
Well, I will say the vinyl product we're using is not your typical off-the-shelf vinyl window, right? And I'm sure you've heard that from many contractors when they're trying to propose this. But it truly isn't. I mean, the profile that we have is not a flat, boxy profile like you typically see on your cheap orange or blue place off-the-shelf window. Has a nice tri-cove molding. I can actually show you that. It replicates what the storm window looks like now. We guarantee against the fading, any of the issues that you may have seen on other vinyl products. And I know you're referring to a composite product that it wouldn't be cost prohibitive putting a composite product. Well, that I can tell you from experience, and I'm sure the homeowner can confer this. The vinyl product that you're suggesting, the 100 with the Fibrex, that's going to be 4 times the cost of what we're charging.
We'll have to ask him about that.
And that puts the homeowner in a very bad situation for the simple fact that he's looking for energy efficiency. He has windows that are painted shut, which creates a safety hazard for him and his family. And we're just trying to help him out at this point. And the product I believe that we're offering was the best product that we could fit his needs with in an affordable budget. And I don't think it's actually going to compromise what you guys are trying to accomplish either. Because his long-term plan is to pull that siding off, get the brick fixed, and bring this house back to what it originally was.
Okay.
Well, it will never be that way with vinyl windows.
Well, I could argue that it wouldn't be that way with composite windows.
And we have some argument.
Yeah.
I
there are-
know,
there-
I'm just
look,
saying, right? Because if
Composite-
we're gonna go from wood to vinyl or wood to composite, it'll never be the same.
The
as brick.
composite product that I'm referencing, I know is, that's accepted on historic preservation tax credit projects, with, which the National Park Service and the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission reviews, and they're very strict. So I know if they accept for example, the Anderson A series, which is a composite on the outside and wood on the inside, which we wouldn't be asking for. It's similar to, for example, to the 100 series. They, they would accept that. They wouldn't accept the vinyl product because the vinyl products, again, if they try to replicate the look of a storm window, while storm windows are allowed because they're something that's applied over a window and they're considered reversible, they're not a look that you want to replicate. You want to keep the simple look. You want to keep the original jams if they're there, and then keep the look of the, basically as close as you can get of the sash and everything. Your third-story window was arched. I mean, it was an arch top window, and if you pull that siding off at some time in the future, for example, if you put it with a flat-topped window now, which is what that arch-top window's kind of been modified to, with the siding. It was a arch-top window like the other house at the end of the row. if you put a flat top window in there now, where you still have, it looks like an original arch top frame in there, and I can see that from your inside picture you have, then you're gonna be locked into that flat top window. You're gonna be altering that original arch top window and sticking a flat top window into that when you still have all of this. And if you pull that siding off, yes, you could restore the look of that feature. Whereas, you know, you're gonna lock yourself into it and not be able to change that or restore that, if that is your long-term goal there.
So that has already been altered. So we're not tearing that out. That's not a blind, that's already built in.
Right, but your original sash is still here. It's just been covered over on the outside, and then a storm window fit below it, where that's been covered over. But this is the original sash.
I wasn't at the physical property, so I'm just confirming.
Okay.
Okay, so, yeah, that's not glass on the inside, that's not covered, that is wood, there is no glass. So I would say that glazing, that window there butts right up against to where you're referring to that's being covered from the outside.
Yeah, that glass was removed then, because the glass,
So we simply wouldn't be putting, like, we wouldn't be cutting this out in any way, we would be running the glass up to there, so he would still.
Not now, you wouldn't, but you had made the comment earlier that he was gonna go back and try and restore
Sure.
at that point. And at that point in time, he goes to pull the siding off up there, he's gonna find what had been there originally.
Right, so I would think that if he was gonna go that route, at that point, we could come in and put a round top window in for him with ease, because we wouldn't be altering, we're not cutting that out. Do you see what I'm saying? It would be pretty simple for us to just pop that plywood off, put a round top window back in when he's ready for it. I think he's trying to, get the house ready because he just moved in, and get it up for safety and obviously energy efficient reasons.
I mean, we can't say that the house has been so compromised that the vinyl would not be as,
Ornerous or whatever, yeah.
You can, but then we get back into the precedent,
well, the next person comes in, I wanna do what they
Right.
did.
yeah.
But of course, we don't respond to that anyways. I mean, it's like he just said, on this block, there's 8 other houses with vinyl windows.
If I could I bring something up to you?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I just did a quick walkthrough, and everything that's highlighted has replacement windows and doors
Oh,
in it.
we are well aware of that problem.
Yeah, I know, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you were, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention, that's all. And it's not like an
Thank you.
arguing point, it's just, and believe it or not, there are some Anderson windows in there. I've seen a couple, they are replacements, right?
Sure.
But there are also some really cheap vinyl windows.
right,
And that's not what we're doing here.
right. And there's some replacement windows, and even on the further block north, there's some replacement windows, some storm windows, but then there's a lot that are done sensitively or fairly sensitively. I mean, unfortunately, you have, somebody sided over, a number of houses in these 2 adjacent rows, and they were nice at one time.
I see that. It's a shame what they've done to some of these homes.
Yeah. I mean, I think our real issue is the front of the house. I mean, I think, our precedent, and we're very willing, and I can't get a street view of the rear, because Google never drove down the alley, I guess, like they have some of them. So I can't really see what's going on in the rear, and I don't know if any photos have been really submitted. Our real issue is the front, and I think, my thought is that we would want to hold out, even though you're not altering the siding or anything now, and at some point in the future, when you alter the siding, that may lead to some of these windows having to be changed again.
I would think the only window that would have to be changed is where the round top would be at that point.
Yeah, it depends. Your first floor window, yeah, they were probably, it was a segmental arch, but they were flat topped.
Right.
It appears like the size of that opening might have been changed. I mean, without seeing it closer up or inside, it's hard to say.
Even if it was, when that siding comes off, that could be opened back up to the
Yeah.
original size.
Yeah,
That's not a huge issue, as far as I'm concerned with being a contractor.
yeah.
This,
So,
I think, our real issue is, and I'm even willing to
really,
compromise on the upper sash on the bay window, the sides, because a lot of those original panes are gone. And to make it look like the one at the end of the row, which is original. We know what it looked like, but it doesn't exist that way anymore. Part of that exists. I mean, I think the real issue is just the type of window to be put in the front, because as soon as we allow that, then we've allowed that everywhere.
well, I mean, we could come on Saturday, you don't have to allow it.
Yeah,
Joking, just joking, everyone, just joking.
yeah.
Well, and also remember that, as the president said, we are a recommending body. This will go to council, and you can also be at council and make a case for the vinyl.
Do you think if we do come to council, right? Do you think having a physical sample of the product would help you with your decision at all?
The city council, we won't be involved in that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that it helps them. I don't think they probably know what they're looking at, so.
Right.
It's not gonna
Okay,
make
I
any
was
difference.
just-
We kind of know what we're looking at, but they don't. Yeah. Yeah, a physical sample always helps. If somebody shows a physical sample, that helps. But I think the real issue is, the vinyl window on the front of the property. I don't know if, is there a place where we have compromised and allowed that on the front? Can anyone ever think of that in any situation?
I can't in a residential setting. I think there was a industrial building that we may have-
Keystone Color Works.
Keystone Color Works.
Keystone Color Works,
Yes.
on the 30 Soho building, which was never, 30 South Howard, that was never finished and has sat there empty for
To this day.
30 years, 20 years now,
Right.
15, 18 years. That is a Colby vinyl window, but that looks it looks like a wood window.
Right.
Yeah, because it's a very high-end vinyl window.
And that, as I tried to explain in the very beginning, is our dilemma. Our job as volunteers to the city on the Historic and Architectural Review Board is to try to hold a line for the city of architectural and historic integrity. And in the 30 years I've been involved, almost, there were times when absolutely never was anything but original replacement materials permitted. And we've really come a long way in trying to represent that 30 years ago we weren't as concerned about energy. 30 years ago we couldn't be concerned about the economics of it because that was outside of the purview.
We still can't.
And we really can't. However, we have recognized that many rear views of properties and many side views of properties aren't immediately noticeable from main thoroughfares. And so we have recommended to the city council approval of applications for vinyl in the rear and vinyl on the sides when the windows used could pretty closely match the profiles of the original windows. And profiles meaning, the
Which is similar to
material.
what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I understand your plight, and I am very sympathetic to it, and I think your property, if you walk down towards Market Street from your property and you look at the buildings, you'll see a number that have had hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in them in the last 10 years. And it would betray those homeowners' investments if we just said, well, you know, we like this guy and we had to allow him to have vinyl windows. It disrespects the integrity of the ordinance that the city has. Now, council is an elected body. We're not. We're appointed. So we have the right to try to be noble and to hold the line, which is what I think we're trying to explain we're doing. We can bend the line, but we can't break the line. And the breaking of the line would be allowing vinyl on the front, on the street face.
Now, we could approve tonight vinyl replacement windows on the rear. I don't know if there's any on the side that are facing the other house.
You have a butler's alley, right?
Yeah.
And are you going to replace the windows in the butler's alley? Yeah.
Okay. So I think, yeah, it's just that there is a gap between that and the next row of like 2 feet or something like that, or
Yeah.
2.5 feet. It sort of is a butler's alley, but yeah. I mean, we could approve vinyl replacement windows on the rear. I mean, would you be amenable to pricing out some other option that would be acceptable on the front? Because we've had, and it's not just the Anderson, we've had some come before us that you know, have acceptable composite windows that are other manufacturers. So, you know, I can't offhand, you know, tell you the names of all of them without doing research, but there are ones. I mean, you may remember.
So
I think there were some fellows.
you're right, there are other composite window manufacturers out there. What attracted most to Mr. Butcher here is our warranties, the energy efficiencies, the costs, which ours are still not cheap.
Right, right.
But the composite products out there doesn't compare to those benefits that he's trying to capture, right? And I understand trying to preserve the history of the city. I do. I really do. But it's tough for me to, because I've used this window for many years, it's tough for me to try to express to you that we warranty the window. So those concerns that you're going to have about the future, I'm sure, a vinyl window breaking down, looking faded, looking ragged, it's hard for me to express to you that that doesn't happen. And if it does, we replace it. So
The problem we have is day one you install those before any of these theoretical
sure,
results occur. And I'm perfectly willing to take you at your word that it's not gonna happen, but
Sure.
there's still
There's a
final
chance.
windows.
right.
And we, as Craig alluded to, our charter does not allow us to take into consideration the economic impact. That is why you have the recourse to go to city council. We
Okay.
have to follow our charter. Our
Sure.
charter essentially says no vinyl windows. Craig mentioned, we bend that for rear-facing windows, not exposed to public traffic and view. I think the consensus is that nobody here is really willing to break our mission statement.
No, I appreciate that
And-
too.
And you should go for city council, and they have the opportunity to be much more understanding with the economic impact issues.
Well, and meanwhile, we can approve vinyl replacement windows 1/1, which means you don't have to do the simulated divided lights on the rear, which would save you some money, because I'm pretty sure there probably aren't any.
Quite costly, yeah.
Yeah, 1/1 replacement vinyl windows on the rear of the property. And we can, you know, we can alter the motion to do that, and that we're not approving any replacement windows on the front, but that we would be amenable to looking at alternative options that meet the guidelines for the front. And also also are closer to your budget. They'll probably be a little more costly, but they'll be closer to your budget. So,
I think I'll go ahead and make a motion.
okay?
I would move that we approve 1/1 vinyl windows in the rear, and that we do not approve the vinyl windows as submitted for the front of the property.
Okay. I will second that. I did. I jumped ahead of him a little bit.
So there's a motion and a second. Any other discussion or debate on the motion? Other comments?
I suppose I don't say anything at this point.
Yeah, well, we have a motion on the floor, so debate and discussion now is among the board. All in favor of the motion to approve rear windows that are vinyl, say aye.
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 Any opposed or abstaining? That motion passes. If you want to come back to the board for the alternative windows for the front, we'd be happy to talk with you then and review and consider that. Or I think to do justice and to allow them to go to council would have to deny the vinyl at the front.
That'll give them what they need to go to council.
Right.
I would appreciate that, and thank you for allowing us to do the back.
How do we do that? Is your motion basically amended to say approved in the rear, vinyl windows denied in the front? I
Yes.
mean, that would be a.
Yeah, that was the motion.
That was the motion, okay.
So they could go to council to request relief from the deny.
You
from
said
the
do not
denial.
approve vinyl windows in the front, which is denial. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I got it, yeah.
Everyone agree? Okay. So
Did we take it to?
we voted on the original motion and we
Which was what?
Yeah, that was,
to approve only rear-facing windows.
He said not approve as opposed to
Not
deny.
approve.
yeah, I didn't say denied. I should have said denied.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think we can
The
put
motion's
not
essentially
approved
the same.
parentheses deny. And we're all fine with that.
Okay. If council would approve your appeal, then you'd be free to proceed. If council denies, then you would need to look at alternatives. Okay,
Or you're free to come back to us with alternatives for the front. You know, proceed with the rear and come back in a couple of weeks with alternatives for the front if you want to go that route.
Yeah, you're definitely okay to do the.
We
windows in
would
the back.
approve replacement windows in the front as long as they met the guidelines and they were of some kind of composite window. Just very simple frames, very similar to what you got now.
Is there a place to find a copy of these guidelines that are required?
We used to have them. Are they
They're
available
online.
online?
They're
or-
online, yes, they're online.
What you'd want is you'd want a product that is close to the look and appearance of the profile. You don't want anything that's real fat. You don't want anything, and most of them out there are going to be similar to that because these were simple windows to begin with. And again, I'm one, I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it, but, you know, Blake had raised the thing about the divided lights in the oriel window. When I look at that close up, it looks like they've kind of been busted out, some of those little buttons and changed. So, any.
Scraps of those things. It's certainly-
Yeah, so I mean, I'm willing to say that you wouldn't have to replicate those. If you can provide more photographic documentation of what's there at the sides of that bay window, if you want to go that route, that would help too.
I'm able to pull up pictures from the listing. That help?
What's this?
The pictures from the listing from when I first watched.
Sure, yeah,
Any pictures you have?
yeah, yeah. If
So-
you want to go that
For the
route.
general knowledge.
So you have two choices with the front. You know, either you go to council and you peel this part of the motion, or you come back to us with, with an alternative. Is there a HURD window, HURD? It seems to me somebody had, I could be remembering it wrong, somebody had submitted that before we approved. That was a composite, or a clad composite. And as manufacturers have changed and been bought up, and some people had proposed Geldwin already that we approved.
I think that was the South Pershing.
They're still out
Avenue,
there on the
like
market, yeah.
23 South
Yeah.
Pershing or something. I remember,
I'm
I just
sure you're
recall.
in the business.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with the different composites that are available. I'll present those options,
Okay.
Mr. Butcher.
now,
Some are fiberglass, we approve those, you know, yeah.
Is there to be replacement of the front door?
There is. I was gonna bring that up.
I was gonna say, there
Yeah,
are,
I didn't understand the picture.
there are
of the
photographs,
door.
but there's no reference to it in writing in the application, so.
Yeah,
So, yes, there is, and obviously you can see with their current front door, that's just a out-of-the-box steel 6-panel door, right? So that's been replaced, God knows how many times. So Mr. Butcher had, chose a door that replicated most like the original, if I could show you.
yeah, they've all been like replacement doors.
Yeah. Is there,
On that whole block is all
Metal-
replacement
metal-
doors.
is there only one door being replaced?
Correct.
Yeah, 221 has a 2-panel door, but that's also a replacement. They're all replaced.
The,
From what Mr. Butcher could find, that was the closest thing to the original door.
it is close to what a lot of the original doors are in that neighborhood. The windows are a little larger, actually. The glass is a little larger opening
I think
in the originals, but
I think I'm fine with this. Do we want to present that as a separate motion? I guess we have to at this point.
so what,
As you can see, we're trying.
I appreciate it.
so it's called a legacy single entry, is that?
Yeah, the manufacturer's Provia. They're the largest door manufacturer in North America. If they have the closest option to what you want, they would be the manufacturer to have it, and that's what we could find.
Okay.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I will approve that we approve the replacement entry door as submitted.
I would,
And-
no, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
and we'll add that, there does not appear to be any original front door on any of the row houses in this row.
I would second that motion.
Moved and seconded to approve the submitted entry door design. I'm looking for
Is this,
anything that further
is that like
describes it.
a double jam because of the last door? going
No,
on?
it's probably just an extended jam because of the original construction of the home.
207 in the next row to the south is original.
Okay.
Or pretty doggone close to it. That might
I
not
think
even
I
be, but
found
it's all-
one, I think I found one original door
Yeah,
on that block.
Yeah. Even that might have been replaced. It looks pretty bad shape. Anyway,
Yeah, I was.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion to approve the entry door as submitted, say aye.
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 Any opposed or abstaining? Hearing none, motion approved. Any other work that's being done that,
Let's talk about the roof. Actually, I will ask you a question, because the homeowner, we're not under any agreement on doing the roof, but while we're here, would you like to ask a couple questions, Mr. Butcher? Come on up.
About the roof?
Yeah.
Can we see it?
Well, what it is now, it's a slate, mansard front.
Original slate.
Yep. And then, which is causing issues for him. And then it's a flat rubber on the top, right?
Can't see.
That you can't see. So my question would be, can we, if he decides to have the roof replaced rather than just fixed, can we replace that with a composite slate material?
yeah.
we have approved a composite slate material,
Architectural shingles.
and we've
You can
approved,
do architectural shingles too?
we've even approved architectural shingles. The,
Don't go crazy.
I'm looking at this photograph from the street view in Google, and
The house across the Butcher's Alley, for lack of a better term, a view, the house immediately to the north that's part of the next row has like a timber line architectural shingle replacement. So we do allow that.
And that could be a staff review, correct?
Yeah, that could, well, it's replacing slate, and we used to
Well,
not do
yeah,
that as a
yeah.
staff review, but we, you know. We allow timberline everywhere. That would save you money over,
Sure.
over,
Yep,
and it would last you longer than the artificial slates. Sometimes these artificial slates don't. Some of them, I think the famous one was at St. John's Lutheran Church. Now, that's
Yes.
30 years ago now, but they used an artificial slate and it failed in a couple of years or something like that, yeah.
Original slate on that whole section.
Not St. John's Episcopal Church, I should say.
is it original problem? It's probably been repaired over the years,
It's where it turns into shingles in the rest of that block.
yeah.
See, the Butcher's Alley, it starts there, but
That's so I recently had to buy a lot of the houses on that block have like missing shingles or like hanging shingles down.
Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time till they have to change their, you know, their roofing materials. So, you know, if we set the precedence for timberline, then they'll all eventually go something like timberline in a gray.
So just to let you know, since they did not approve the front replacements, then this will go to council for their September 5th meeting
Okay,
here at 6 o'clock.
okay,
So if you want to show up, they're not going to put that with a consent agenda because part of it was not approved.
okay, no
And
problem.
then you can come up to speak at the council meeting,
Oh, that's great,
okay?
thank you.
If you do come back regarding the roof, come with a proposal for timberline, architectural shingles.
Or similar, there's other
Yeah,
ones out
Sure,
there look like that.
you're looking for an architectural shingle. Is there a specific color?
have asphalt.
Probably gray, because all the original roofs are gray there.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
no
gray.
problem.
Yeah.
Is it slate gray or is it
I
blue,
think your slate is,
green?
Bluish gray.
it's like a bluish gray.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Some of the blue-gray architectural shingles look too blue.
Yep,
They have a lot of them they call slate gray blend, and that's kind of what you want. And then they have a greenish and a reddish and,
Yeah.
yeah,
we
brownish.
offer a pewter and there's a hearthstone that has nice,
Yeah. If you have
it's a nice
a question,
gray.
you can always just bring in a sample.
Sure,
Well, in terms of the profile, I think there's a certain amount of flap that we'd like to see, just to create a shadow line. There are architectural shingles that are more flat.
yeah.
Stacked, like in that,
Yeah, we use a product called Atlas. It actually has the largest exposure. It's a 6-inch exposure, so it really pops on the roof. It gives that 3D effect.
Okay.
And I think you'd be much happier with the architectural shingles than the imitation slate. I don't know that anybody's had a real good
Yeah,
experience
it's
with
expensive to install,
Unless-
and
yes.
I don't know that it holds up,
my
I
neighbor.
think it depends on the product.
really.
Some of them have a 70-year warranty
On the composite,
on the rubber slate.
And
oh,
for
there's
your
a product called Da Vinci that we've used in the past. We had really good experience with it,
I recognize that name, yeah. Okay.
but obviously it's up to
Yeah,
in his bank
we
account
would
what he'd
approve
like
the,
to do.
yeah, we'd approve the architectural shingle, and there's no, you know, as opposed to the artificial slate, and that would save you money. And then for your low sloped roofs that are membrane now, they don't even have to go before us because you can't see them.
Correct.
And that would be like with like, doesn't have to go through us.
If you come here with vinyl shingles.
No vinyl
wanna put
shingles?
vinyl siding on your
I was gonna throw
mansard?
that out at the
No,
end.
Which I've seen
Seen
before,
that,
yes.
Yes, I have.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
No, thank you, council members. Appreciate you helping us with this.
Yep,
Good luck with your project.
yep.
Thank you. We hope to make it as best as we can.
Well, and
That's,
it
no, it's,
it looks as though you're doing that, so
Yeah,
thank you
yeah.
again.
I do have one question for everybody. When it comes to the interior of the home, do I need approval for that?
not from us, but you may need building permits,
Yeah,
so,
depending on what you're doing, you'll probably need building permits, but you don't have to come back here.
no, we
Our
don't
purview
have anything to do
ends
with,
at what's visible from the street.
yeah, anything visible from a public street. Yeah,
And not
or
through a window.
way, yeah, and not through a window, right.
Excellent. Thank you so
If
much.
we try and bring in a
I think
brown
the
corduroy
guidelines
sofa,
that are on
we may
the
complain about
website.
that.
Myself.
Windows shall be repaired.
Just keep your eyes closed.
I don't think it even gets into, if they're so bad they have to be replaced, they have to be
Thank you.
solid wood like the old ones. Mark, but I don't think that there's up-to-date window replacement on the website.
Oh, I'm sure not, because that's changed so much, even in the last,
The design guidelines,
yeah,
those still read much more stringently than we operate.
that we operate, yeah, I'm sure.
I need to take this, excuse me, I'm gonna say we're adjourned.
We're adjourned.
We're adjourned. Well, there used to be a time